Tell me the worst night of your professional career.
Okay. Well, there's a lot, but the worst gig I ever had, and I call it the worst because there was the threat of violence and death.
Oh.
There's been a lot of bad gigs, people leaving, but I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at a disco called Oscars, and we were the comics to go on the disco dance floor. And the first night we got there, it was a two-nighter. First night we got there, it was bowling night, women's bowling league. There was 300 Louisiana women, beautiful, lined up doing shooters, pictures of shooters. And people are dancing, women are dancing with each other. And the bouncer takes a mic stand and a stool, pushes through the dancers, gets on the stage, on the dance floor, and goes, "Okay, we're about to start a comedy show. Everyone sit down. Turn the music off, Earl. Earl! We're going to do a comedy show." People are still dancing. "Here's your first comic, Bill Silva." He weaves through the crowd and dancing and stands there amongst the dancers who are still dancing. There's no music. Begins the show. I'm sitting in the back of the room with my friend Ron Schock. Guy next to us is holding a towel to his head that is soaked with blood. He's ordering drinks, laughing. Give me no shoot. And we said to the waitress as she passes, "What's wrong with him?" "Knife fight. Happens every night here. Knife fight." The guy's ear was hanging by just a little thread. He stayed for the whole show.
You wanted to see the comedy show.
Yeah, right. He was determined, and he heckled, and people go, "Shut him up. His ears hurt. Let him yell." Anyway, the first show that night, we had one show that night. That show was supposed to last an hour and a half. It lasted 15 minutes. Why? Obviously, the first guy goes on, people are still dancing to no music. He introduces the second guy. He bails immediately. "Let me bring up your first act." Next guy goes up, Ron Schock. He goes up, and for some reason in the back of the room, someone starts yelling, "Blowjob! Blowjob! Blowjob!" And finally Ron says, is he asking or giving? The crowd goes, "Ooh." This big guy comes through the crowd, up onto the dance floor, grabs Ron by the cheek, pulls him to his knees, and goes, "I'm asking, faggot." Ron introduces me.
Good. Thanks, Ron.
On his knees. "Bill Hicks." I come up, and I'm supposed to do 45 minutes. About 3 minutes into it, a guy walks up to the railing around the dance floor and just goes, leans and looks at me. I say, "Can I help you?" "No." I go, "What do you want?" He takes out a knife, takes the mic cord. The music starts up, and the people still on the dance floor start dancing again. That was night one. We have to go back the next night. Before the show, I go to Ron's room, and he says I happen to have 3 hits of LSD 25. I'm taking one. Who else is in? And I said, "Well, I'm in." So I took one too. So we decided to go back tonight, and we're tripping. And Bill Silva goes on stage, first guy up. There's less people there. All of them had been there the night before.
So he had to change his material.
Right, that whole minute that he did. He goes on, and for some reason, within a minute, there's an altercation and someone at the bar. And he goes, Bill Silva said, "What are you going to do, shoot me?" The guy said, "I might." And he raises up his pant leg, and in his boot, there's a pistol. And me and Ron are tripping, going, "They're armed. They're armed." Waitress is walking by, she hears us, she goes, "Don't worry if anything happens." Raises up her shirt, there's a 22 in her skirt. They're all armed. And we went up, tripping, and sweat pouring off our faces. People were hurling bottles at us. Real bottles, not even beer bottles. I'm talking the whole tequila bottle with that little metal thing, that pourer. They were using that to fling it. A lot of vibrancy. And I go on stage, and again, I'm supposed to be 45, and the whole show lasted about 22 minutes. And all I see in the back is the door open, and Ron and Bill silhouetted in the doorway to the parking lot with the check, waving it, going, "Come on, come on." And bottles are hitting the stage. And I ran through the audience, out into the parking lot. The audience chased us. They're throwing bottles. The owner throwing chairs at us. We go out, and we have locked the keys in our cars.
Could anybody help us? Anybody got a coat hanger?
So we just stand there going, those bottles are hitting around us. And finally, we just broke our own window, and we took off.
How many years ago was that?
That was about 6 years ago.
Oh, you're a rough crowd.
Rough crowd.
Rough crowd.
I've been back every year, and they like me now. That was the worst gig I've ever done. Because there was an actual threat of being killed, really, and they would have not thought, I mean, it would have been part of the festivities. And then we danced. Remember when Tommy threw up, and then we killed that guy? And then Earl couldn't find his hat. This is great, reliving this fucking life.
Like that. So tell us your first night ever on stage as a paid performer, paid comic.
The first gig I ever got, professional gig, was at a department store called Sakowitz in Houston. Their Christmas party, which they held at 7 in the morning before they all went to work, in the basement of the department store. And they told me to get there at 6:30. You know, make sure, you know, just make sure we know you're there. So this is my first paying gig, and I think, well, cool, I'm making, you know, good money to get up, whatever. I get over there, and there's a huge buffet of, you know, the powdered eggs and the bacon, and everything started really late. I got there at 6:30 because I was professional, and they were starting late, and the ventriloquist hadn't showed yet, or she had showed, and her dummies hadn't showed. They'd actually lost their dummies in the mail. I mean, in the airport. And she was just frantic. She'd lost her act, you know.
Right.
They said, we're going to send it over as soon as possible. But the guy who put it on said, look, we're running out of time. We got to open the store. While people are eating, could y'all just do your act, you know, somewhere in the line of the buffet? So but since I was starting new, the ventriloquist was real, you know, had been doing it for a few years.
Right.
She got to be up next to the ham and eggs, and I was next to juice and muffins. And I stood there while people were 6:30 in the morning getting food.
Hello.
I did my act.
What was the first thing out of your mouth? Can you remember what you did? You're up at the juice. How did you start?
I have no idea how I started. I'm sure I'm sure I ended up, they thought I was just some mic'd waiter.
Right.
You know, the first person asking me, you know, the weirdest heckles. Do they have any pineapple juice? I don't know. So I started helping out and fed everyone and left. That was my first gig. Between the juice and the muffins. Later on, of course, as years went by and I got better and better known.
You got bacon and ham.
Ham, bacon, and ham. The dummy never showed.
Never, to this day. Found him OD'd in an alley.
So the ventriloquist was throwing her voice into the bacon.
Yeah. So what did that look like? Did it look like, what was that place, Gillies? That's what I imagine that to look like.
I've actually played. There's another club in Dallas that is the comparable to Gillies, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's literally as big as, you know, just 3 times as big as this entire building, and
Right.
It has 7 different clubs going on. One is square dancing, one's a country band, and they're all open. It's almost like a entertainment market. And one room they did comedy in, and these cowboys would come in with the hats and the date, and they'd stand. They wouldn't come in the room because they were just shopping.
Right.
They would just stand in the doorway and look for a minute, and you'd see all that, and they'd walk off, and then you'd go out after your show and look at it, and they'd all be, those same people be square dancing. It's just a big entertainment market, anything you want. And they actually had the mechanical ballroom, and there was a line to get into that.
And that other place, what was that? The place where you took the LSD and...
Oh, Oscars in Louisiana. It was, you know, just a terrible, terrible, terrible disco. The disco stage was about 10 feet by 10 feet.
What song was it? What was it? Disco? I mean, was it like Casey and the Sunshine Band kind of
right
crap or?
Right. But then they'd throw in a country song.
You bet.
And also during the show, which I forgot to mention, was they kept the disco ball lit and moving, so it was fairly surreal. You know, the light was just keeping.
So
moving.
people were.
And we were tripping, and it was like. And just every once in a while, a bottle would hurl right past your face, and they were really going for you. They were luckily they were so drunk, their aim was off.
But they would. No one was sitting. They were all standing.
Right. Or they were waiting to dance.
Oh.
Right, they were all around the rail. Just
Did you get any laughs?
no, zero. They didn't even listen to us. They immediately started throwing things.
And kids today, they think they've got it made.
Well, they have these comedy clubs to work in.
That's right. Well, did you ever work Joe Dunkel's room in Michigan? It was above a hockey rink. That's where I started. It's above a hockey rink. So you'd just be getting to your punchline. All of a sudden, the hockey team would score. And it was no cover, quarter beer night, and it was do or die. I mean, it was do or die. They smelt blood, they'd kill you.
I've worked several bowling alleys, and one in Detroit, this place called Chaplin's. And
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and I knew I was in trouble, and when I was at the hotel, I said, how do you get to the club? Okay, you go out on the street, and you're going to pass 3 bowling alleys on the left. Go down to the end, take a right, you're going to see 2 bowling alleys on your right. Keep going, you're going to pass 3 more bowling alleys, take a left, and it's the bowling alley you come to. So let me get this straight. You guys like bowling around here?
Yes,
the guy goes,
we do.
He goes, not really. I don't. So we go there, and it was literally you'd be on stage in the bowling, and you see a million cars, and you go, oh, maybe there's a crowd.
Right.
And you go into your side, the comedy side, and there's nothing. The bowling alley filled. And people would be in the show if they'd finally, the overflow, they'd come in and sit down, and then they'd go, Johnson, you're lame. And they'd get up and leave, and that was, you'd have to wait until the overflow happened again.
So Chaplin's is in a bowling alley?
Mm-hmm. An active bowling alley. Oh, I thought of another really bad gig, too. It just happened to me.
No, you just change your battery and keep, whatever. Keep rolling here?
I'm fine. Your
you guys
mic's...
just talk.
His mic's on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for you, you can go ahead and say it.
Well, this was in Walnut Creek, California, right outside of San Francisco. Saturday night, big crowd, big crowd, full. And I get on stage, and there's these 3 girls on the front row, and 2 of them are just talking as though they are long-lost sisters and have finally met because they've been seated together at a comedy club. They are totally oblivious that I am on stage. And I think, well, I just got up here. I'll let them talk. They'll settle down. So I'm talking, and they just keep talking. I finally look at them and, excuse me, show going on here. And they just, anyway, and so I go, look, if you want to talk, go outside. I'm sure someone here might want to hear the show. And shut up. So this is getting weird, It's like a minute and a half into my act, and finally I just snap, and I get down on her face. I'm crouched down, and I go, look, shut up. She grabs her glass, and she throws it at me, and it hits the hand my mic's in. And then she jumps up and runs. And I get back up, and I go, oh, that's weird. The crowd, as one man, goes, they get up and they leave the room. All of them. About 30 people stayed, spread out. I'm going, this is weird, man. Didn't y'all see what happened here? And I did my whole show, and people were booing. They were just yelling at me. I go, what is this? It turns out, all they saw was me bend over. They heard and then she ran. They thought I punched her.
Right in the front.
Good. I didn't know that. It was a tough hour. What amazes me is that some people stayed. I love that. The idea, like, yeah, he hit her, but he's got some clever stuff.
Yeah. I would have done the same thing. And in San Francisco, that must have went real well.
God, yeah. She, later on, it turns out, that was the first show. She was outside in tears, screaming at the next show that was lined up, going, he's beating women. I mean, the other audience members, he's beating women. And everyone in line was going, all right.
Oh, cool.
Good choice. Glad we did
Bill.
But it was great because the next show was really tense because they really thought I punched this girl in the face, And the next show was great because the comic that went up before me, and everyone in the audience that came in had heard this story, and they were like, gee, what is this guy? What is this new kind of comedy? But he goes on, when he finished his act right before me, he goes, listen, I just want to say I had a little altercation with someone the first show, and I feel better now. Y'all were great. And the audience was like, ooh, that was him.
Oh, he took your...
He took the heat.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then I went up and just did it, and the audience was buzzing afterwards. Where's the guy that beats women? We feel gypped. There were several women on the front row of that show. He could have slugged any one of them.
So you had to follow that. So you shot somebody.
Right.
Right in the face. Then you have beer.
Here they all stand. What are they doing?
Sing to the bad blues gigs.
There were some good nights, too. There was a night when people, they all laughed. Not to me, I've seen it happen, though. Clean beads.